for everybody's best interests. So it's not necessarily a permission thing, but you guys need to know that you are you are being recorded. Then, okay, I'll talk about the details of what is to come after the session when we get to that slide. Now, before we dive into the contents of today's session, I want to remind you of a couple of things you need to do before you actively start working on assignment 1. So if you didn't, as I say, attend the session yesterday, please watch the recording so that or go through the presentation slides. They are also they've been shared with you on the module site. Because it is important that you get a general familiarity with how we work in COM3713 and what we expect of you in the semester. So before you start thinking about the details of assignment 1, go through that so that you know what the module is about. Then make a list of the e-reserves and the other resources that you will need in addition to your study guide in order to successfully complete assignment 1. That additional resources, I said yesterday, the additional resources, the e-reserves and recommended reading indicated in the learning material itself, in the study guide if you download it, or on the online study guide if you do access it kind of on the My Module site itself. Get those readings together, get them saved on a personal computer so that you have access to them the moment you start working. Then find your group and understand how to navigate the groups part of the module site. This collaborative effort that is part of assignment 1 is very important for you to successfully complete the assignment. So make sure, if you haven't done group work before, that you know where to find your group members, how to interact with them, play around, and ask someone if you are not sure how to navigate the group. The group side of things. Of course, we will deal with that in sessions to come as well, specifically. So there will be chance for you to ask your questions to your facilitating lecturer. So these things are important. And then the pre-recorded video tutorials. Assignment 1 is about Learning Unit 1, 2, and 3. Most of the content will come from Learning Unit 2 and 3. So watch the pre-recorded video tutorials that are like a summary with a presentation about that specific learning unit to wrap your head around what the contents of this assignment could be about, or what your lecturers say about the content, as a preamble to your actual work. Then today we are dealing with the basics of assignment 1, like the dates that are important, the mark allocations, and so on. Some information on working in your groups. And then we will do a brief assignment analysis to look at the case study and the individual tasks one by one. All right, so that date is wrong. Sorry, it is the 24th of August. I left it as April. It opens for submissions on the 17th of August, 6 o'clock in the evening. You will see, I also mentioned this yesterday, that the date on the My Module site may still say the 20th of August. I changed again this morning, but it kind of reverts back when the system refreshes, because we are still waiting for the assignment section side to officially change the submission date. But don't worry about it. We will keep the portal open, or we will reopen if something goes wrong. You will have until the 24th of August, 8 o'clock at night, to submit your final assignment 1s. Whatever the date on the system says, up between now and the submission date, I hope we'll get it fixed very quickly, like in the next day or 2, but I'm not sure. But we will do it manually if needs to be. So don't worry about it. Submission date, submission portal closes 24th of August, 8 o'clock. Then this is a written assignment. So you must submit a document with the assignment in it, although there is one task in the assignment that is a recorded task, so it is a verbal task or combination of verbal and written, but it is the format of that is a recording, but the recording is included or linked in the written document. So the thing you submit as an assignment is a written assignment. It is a group assignment. I'll talk on the next slide more about the group side of it. Then the length of the assignment. The word count is important. And if you already accessed it, let me just open it so I can show you. If you already accessed the documents that are part of assignment 1, I made small updates today and yesterday. So just go and check whether you still have the newest thing. There's not a lot of, real important changes. It's just that it was the first semester's documentation, and because the assignment is a bit shorter and we dropped some tasks, the documents differ ever so slightly. Or now, what was I talking about? Sorry, just go back to the slide. Basic group length of the assignment. I want to show you what that document looks like. The length and the word count for each task is in this assignment 1 template structure suggestion. Long name. Let's open it. I will just want to show you. In the task itself, the word counts are given and the time allocation for task 3 is given. And then in this document, that kind of gives you a layout or a template. You can work from this template if you want, or you can just use it as a way to understand how the assignment is put together. But in here, like for task 1, in the second part of all 3 tasks, the word count is given again, and then I give an estimation of how long a response to that task could be. I mean, there could be minor differences, but if you follow the instructions and you use Arial 12, line spacing 1.5, and you do the margins as the normal margins that are also given in the tutorial letter 301, then the page count that is mentioned here should be relatively accurate. But because it's like 400 to 600 words, of course, you can have a little bit of shorter than the maximum. But the page count, like in this task 1, if 600 words is what you end up having as a response, it will cover 1.3 written pages. And if you then put some headings and spaces between paragraphs, you're looking at 1.5 pages roundabout. So if you want to check the length of each response, it is in this template document. See, it's the same for task 2. There's some other idea of how you can present the task or your response to it. And then here is the kind of word count and length estimation of the written component. Okay, let's go back to the slide. Then the peer evaluations. If you have gone through the assignment already, you will see that they are a component that we need you to submit as well. And that is called the peer evaluation forms. Now, the peer evaluation forms, it is at the end of this task. Because it is a group task, each individual member must post an individually completed peer evaluation form. It is part of the assignment, between brackets, because it counts for marks, but it is not handed in as part of the assignment document. You must post, each of you in your group individually, on your group discussion forum. Your peer evaluation. So it counts for marks. You will see that 10 marks is allocated there at the bottom of the slide for those peer evaluation forms. They are not marked necessarily for content. We use them to check whether the group worked well together and whether anybody is is said by the rest of the group did not participate. Because if you didn't do anything as a group member, you cannot get the marks that the group is getting. So if everybody feels that you didn't do a fair bit of your task, or you let the group down in some ways, your facilitating lecturer, that will end up being the marker of the assignment, may use those evaluation forms to help them make a decision. Hopefully we do not come to a point where we have to make too many such decisions. We will, of course, also talk to you about that if it affects you and your group specifically. You will not see a 0 without knowing how it got to that point. You will hear from your facilitating lecturer if there is a problem in that regard. But the peer evaluation forms are outside of this kind of information we can get from it. It is marked only for its completeness. So the 10 marks, basically free marks if you just submit them. But remember, they are part of the assignment, but not submitted as part of the assignment document. They're posted on the group discussion forums. All right, then the mark allocation comes down to 20 marks per task. And that is broken down further. You'll see the criteria in the assignment. The document itself is broken down into 16 content marks, and then 4 marks for specific technical matters and for group dynamic matters. So this 4 marks is almost, you can see it as a technical mark that forms a little subpart of every task that you do. And then the overall technical presentation, we collapse that into a mark of 5. So that in the end, your technical mark is part of every task mark, and then an additional 5 points for things that are overall, that counts for the overall assignment, if you know what I mean. Then the peer evaluation's 10, that 100 is incorrect. Oh, shucks. That ends up being a 75, not 100. I must correct this, April. And the total before I post the slides to you, sorry for the oversight. It ends up being 75 marks in total. The rest of the mark allocation there is correct. Then working in your groups. Assignment 1, as I said, is a group assignment. Your groups have already been allocated. At the moment, there are 18 groups of between 10 and 13 students per group. And then every group has also one of the lecturers as a member in the group, because they are the facilitator for the facilitating lecture. So if you see one of our names on your group, you know that is your dedicated lecturer that you can talk to about group matters, and that will be arranging your group session either Friday or early next week. Then as a group, you can see your group's discussion forum. You can see your members, and you can see the submissions made by your group, but you cannot see anything of another group. You can only see your own discussion forum, your own members, your own submissions. You can't see what anybody else is doing in their group, or what they're talking about in their group discussions. Then you will only submit as a group one single assignment. And it's important that you read the details that is in the assignment task itself, and that you engage with your facilitating lecturer in the group briefing session or outside of the group session, to make sure you understand the group details and so on. But it comes down to basically you submit a single assignment, and the whole group will get the same mark unless the group feels that one of you or two of you have not participated enough to worth sharing in the mark. But if all goes well, you will all get the same mark. And then the groups, you must work together on the tasks. Some of it, like the debate, will require an individual contribution from each member. while task 1 and 2 are collective responses, where you will have to divide the work in another way. It's not like you can put your name, an individual name, and your part in the response. It must look the same as it would have looked if you wrote an individual assignment, but the group should have collaborated on creating that response. But the group must work together, therefore, and every task requires slightly different participation from the members of the group, because different things need to happen. Two of the tasks require written responses, and one is a verbal/written response. It is a recorded group debate, and then there is the peer evaluations. Those are individual contributions, because each of you must be able to evaluate the rest of the group or mention something that didn't go according to plan. The forms are available, so you can check the details, but your facilitating lecturer will talk to you about that in the group sessions some more. Then your group engagement, the group briefings by, which is 4 lecturers for the assigned groups. That will be scheduled at different times by those individual facilitating lecturers. So each of us will have a group session with all of our groups. We have 4 or 5 groups per person. So all 3 or 4 groups will be together in the group briefing session of that facilitating lecturer to listen to the briefing, and then you can those times will be scheduled. So I will be in touch with the groups in my care, and so will everybody else. The dates and times will differ. And then you can also contact your facilitating lecturer for advice and guidance, or intervention if there is some kind of problem, or checking whether what you're doing is correct, or something like that between now and the submission date. Then there are group guidelines that is on the module site already as additional resources to assignment 1. They are not, in fact, only shared after the group briefing. I will show you that they are here. So that is the peer evaluation form. We can quickly look at what that looks like just briefly, so that you have an idea. That is for each individual group member. You must put your name and surname on your form, your student number, your group number, and then you are completing this kind of evaluation of each other group member in your group. So how reliable was this person? How did they do in terms of attendance? Did the people you worked with adhere to your internal arrangements as a group? Did they make a sufficient contribution? So you evaluate the rest, and so everybody else get to evaluate you as part of their list, if you get what I mean. So, and then the final question here is, did this person contribute so little that they deserve a 0 mark? And if one person is repeatedly indicated as yes, they do deserve a 0 mark, then the facilitating lecturer may act on it and figure out whether that is a valid complaint, whether the person indeed didn't do what is like a fair contribution to the group's work, so that you get a say in and not see people doing absolutely nothing and piggybacking on the rest of the group and getting marks for free. So this is your chance to express yourself. Just remember that these evaluation forms are available to the rest of your group once you have posted them on the discussion forum. So, that is to keep things transparent, so that nobody is, cannot see what the others have believed about their participation. So you can use that also as feedback on your own, the impression you create with other people in your group, and how things went when people need to work with you. Maybe you can learn something. And then there is space for further feedback, that you can write out your explanation of why you, for instance, said somebody shouldn't get a mark, or you can send feedback to us about something in the assignment that was maybe unclear or could have been better expressed, or you know, whatever it is that you want to give feedback on, you could write that there. Then there's the group. There's instructions for how to submit the evaluation form. We're not going to go through that. That's the assignment itself. That's the template we opened earlier. And this is the group guidelines. It's a simple document. Your, what is happening? Your facilitating lecturer will go through this document in the group briefing sessions, but it basically helps you and guide how the group must work together. So you must clarify the tasks, you must agree on the roles and the responsibilities of each member and of the group itself, and then you set clear internal deadlines and keep each other accountable with what you agreed on to contribute. You need to communicate, you need to respect differences and differences of opinion, different styles, different even levels of effort from different group members, because that is just how collaborative work is. It cannot be one control freak person who wants this very high standard of work or not, but you must know that everyone in the group will have a different idea about what needs to be done. You need to figure that out, but keep it respectful. Then it is important also for the group to keep records and make backups of your work, especially because it's collaborative work. So make sure that your most recent version or your completed version of a task isn't lost in translation somewhere. This one thought that one's going to keep it, and so on. So record keeping is important. And then review the final submission together. Also something that will be more detailed in your group briefings, but the system will allow any one group member to submit an assignment on behalf of the group. The whole group can see what was submitted, and any member of the group can then submit a fresh document over the one that is on the system. So you must make your internal arrangements about who's going to do that final submission and who is like sanctioned to replace that document, so that you don't boycott or make a mistake and delete your group's assignment by mistake because you think you're just testing maybe what happens if you take away the submission on your side. It will be taken away for the whole group. So you need to agree on what's going to happen. And then, the last point, be responsible and professional. You can go and read this document if you want, even before your group briefing takes place, but you don't have to. Your facilitating lecturer will talk to you about that. The group briefings that I talk about will be between Friday the 14th and then Tuesday the 18th of August. It gives the lecturers just a little bit of room to make their own schedules work. Also for when they're going to meet you, you can also engage them about what your group needs in terms of a time. If there is a time that you have another class scheduled, you can let your facilitating lecturer know, and if it's possible, they will be able to adapt to it. If they're not, it will be recorded and shared with you by the individual lecturers. Okay, so group guidelines are shared. Then let's look at the assignment analysis. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly, so not to waste your time. So you must read the introductory info, and this now all refers to the assignment document. It is uploaded and available on the module site there under the additional resources. It is also downloadable in another place, like on the main page of the assignment. But in that document, there's introductory info, objectives, info on the study material, and instructions for the assignment. Go through those first. Read the case study then, read it for a first time to get a feel for what's going on in the case study. Read the intros of all three the tasks and familiarize yourself with the topics that each of those tasks address. Then read each task in more detail. The main task, the specific requirements, specific instructions, the assessment criteria, the specifics of the mark allocation, that type of thing, the deeper details of each task. Make notes about the content stuff and the group stuff and what each individual should generally be doing and what the group will have to do and decide on. So you will do this process hopefully in part on your own and in part as part of your group. So if you do, for instance, this notes on your own, then that can be something you bring to your group meeting as ideas of how you can do the tasks as a collective. But that detail can also be left, for instance, and discussed by the group on a whole, if that works better for the group. So this is kind of like steps that can be done individually and in a group, or either of those. Then you locate the appropriate study material, the module reading, and reread the case study after you've gone through all the details and read the material thoroughly, so that you can read each task in a more focused way and focus on the more detailed, finer points of each task. I normally find it necessary to at least read the case study thoroughly for a second time after I've engaged with material that needs to be linked to certain aspects mentioned in the case study. That will definitely help you as part of like a broader analysis process. Then the case study on which a lot of the assignment is built is a case study about a company we call Ubuntu Textiles. It's a fictional company, and the case study is generally about the transformation of this company by means of decal and African thinking, ways of thinking about organizational communication. Now, as they are a South African organization, they are fictional, of course. They make modest clothing for what is implied in the case study for a local market. They realized early on that conventional and Western or old school business models are not working for them, and they experienced certain challenges that they attribute to traditional business models and practices, and then they launched a transformation project with specific interventions to fix these challenges, and they report positive outcomes. That's the basic story told in the case study. It's important to know that it's fictional, and of course it is oversimplified so that we can highlight the relevant concepts for you. It doesn't have the nuance that you'll get if you read a case study of a real existing functioning organization. And then in the case study, we on purpose sprinkle theoretical concepts and features of organizational communications, characteristics of a decolonial position on organizational comms, African or Afrocentric thinking, and the Ubuntu philosophy that you might need or do need to know for your responses, to inform your responses. And what you will see on the next page is some, here I circled some of some of those active terms. So it's just an illustration. So the case study explicitly states, for instance, it's circled there in the first paragraph, that Ubuntu Textiles embraces a decal African perspective, and there's some in the second paragraph, some challenges they face. And those challenges include things like employee dissatisfaction, leadership problems, wrong communication practices, negative experiences by employees, bad relationships between people. And all of those challenges are organizational comms concepts that you'll also find in your study material. And then this is how you make the link between the case study and your task responses is by knowing these concepts are found in both places. See? And then, oh, there's many more. The leadership styles are described as problematic. Decision making was centralized. Other kind of structural problems or overly structured organizational setup. Then management and staff were disconnected from one another. Professional communications tried to control communication, and the organization was kind of disconnected from local soil, so from indigenous value systems. And these concepts and this story I'm telling here, just a start, just to show you what kind of things you need to look out for when you read the case study and prepare your responses. Okay, so task 1 is about the interconnections between social constructivism and critical theory. And for task 1, that is the basic instruction, you need to use a specific principle of social constructivism and or critical theory. You must motivate that your examples demonstrate the intersection. So it is 3 examples from the case study that demonstrate 3 intersections between social constructivist and critical thinking, patterns or underlying ideas. Don't be too afraid of it. There's a lot of information in the study guide and in the case study and in the instructions and in the template document for the assignment. You are not left with having to answer this without any further assistance. Then some of the practical instructions to note. There's more than this, so don't take this as the only thing. Take your assignment itself as the ultimate, the ultimate set of instructions. But you must create a single written response, so 1 response or answer for the whole group. It must be between 400 and 600 words long, counts for 20 marks. Your sources must be referenced, and the task comes from these sections in the study guide. They are not the only sections, but they are the most relevant. So that is even your first hint for how to find the correct material for task 1. Then task 2 asks you to classify challenges and interventions mentioned in the case study according to different levels on which, because we take a social constructivist look at the organization, and in the first task you look at some of the intersections on a theoretical level. Here you kind of interpret social constructivism like from this case study. You apply it, so to speak, and you kind of classify, let's say, the challenges and interventions of the case study on the different levels of social constructivism. Now, this also sounds a little bit foreign if you haven't read the material, but there is different levels: an individual level, a group level, organizational level, that are, let's say, the core levels on which you can see social constructivism at work, simply put. And those levels are given in your study material, so you must then apply those levels to what you see as challenges and interventions of the case study. And you must visually represent this and explain this. And if you remember from the template document, there is an idea for you on how to go about the visual demonstration. So you also don't need to thumb suck that. And the written part, you could, the whole layout of a potential response you can see there. So if you're feeling uncertain, use that template. Some of the important practical instructions is, again, it is a single written and visual response. So 1 response or answer for the entire group. The written component is between 200 and 300 words long. The marks are out of 20. Sources must be referenced where relevant. And Learning Unit 3, Lesson 1 is the most important starting point for tackling this task number 2. Then task 3 is the group debate I referred to earlier. It asks you to debate the potential of Ubuntu and African decal thinking to inform real transformation of how we organize and communicate in South Africa. Now, here's some important things to note. All group members must participate at least once. That contribution can be verbal, so in your actual meeting when the debate takes place, the contributions can be verbal, like it happens when you ask questions during a class session or during a Q&A session. It is live, it's recorded as part of the meeting. And for those who are uncomfortable with verbal responses, for whatever reason, you could make a written response in, let's say, the form of a comment in the comment section. So it must be so that each member of the group must have at least one contribution we can put to their name. So each of you must bring something to this debate. Contribution should preferably be personal opinions, ideals, sharing of experiences, and they do not have to be like formal academic module sounding material. And then besides your substantive contribution of each individual to the debate must also be an interaction, a conversation. It must just not be one person after the other in the group, 10 in a row says their little thing. It must be a conversation where you respond live to one another, where you critique one another, where you add something to a point the other one's made in support of their point. Or, whatever shape it takes on. That is what a debate should be, some interaction. Some groups of first semester did like a formal kind of debate structure. You can do that if that's something you are familiar with. You're welcome to, but you don't have to. It can be like a group conversation, basically, where you put different points of view forward and talk about them back and forth. It doesn't have to be specific, a for side and against side, or whatever the conventional debate structure is. We call it a debate because it's a collective conversation where you must talk about the potential, and debate here means that it's an invitation for differing opinions, for different experiences to be part of it. It doesn't mean you have to all agree, but you don't have to have a strict line for and against in that formal sense. All right. It also counts 20 marks. The total debate recording can be a maximum of 25 minutes long. That you ideally do it on Teams, and it's recorded, and the link and specific timestamps for relevant segments are included in the submitted assignment. And here you use Learning Units 1, 2, and 3 to kind of build up your opinion on the concepts relevant to your debate. That is a very short summary of the debate content. There's more details in the assignment itself, and in that structure document gives you, let me show you that again, just so that you can maybe see what is meant by the timestamps. So this is what it can basically look like. It must, you must have that link to your session. So let's say that is the link to this session that we are in now, but you must replace that with your Teams meeting where the debate takes place. Then the timestamp segment containing the full debate must be indicated. So if you joined, then you waited 5 minutes, then somebody was still absent, then somebody went to phone them, that part is then not part of the debate. That's part of your organizational things before the debate starts. And once the debate starts, the count can be given there. So then your facilitating lecturer, or who's going to be a marker at that point, is not going to listen to all the details of you making your internal arrangements and last minute arrangements or instructions from maybe the facilitator of the debate, or however you do it. But once the debate starts, that is where the assessment basically starts, and that segment must be indicated on the whole. And then in a table, you don't have to use a table, but this is just one way you can do it, is to list the names of the group members. And I've only done the first two, then you will have a complete list of all your names. And if it was a verbal contribution that person made as like their main contribution to the debate, the specific timestamp where you can hear this person speak. So if somebody spoke for 1.5 minutes and they started at minute 4.5 and they spoke until minute 5, then that is the time you fill in here as like this is the segment where Louise is speaking and with her contribution. And if the contribution was made in a comment, you can include it like that as a screenshot, basically from the comment section that indicates that person's name and that they did contribute this during the debate. Your lecturer will also be able to see this on the recording, whether those comments are really from the debate itself. And that, the content of that is given there is just a little announcement that Poolna made during a previous session, but that is kind of how you can present it. And so it will go for each team member. So that is what is meant by the timestamp. Okay, and then the next steps. The recorded content tutorials for Learning Unit 1, 2, and 3 will be posted on the module site. They are already there. We're only waiting for 5. If you attended yesterday, you will know this. I must just finish uploading Learning Unit 5's, but 1, 2, and 3 is already there. Ooh, the wrong dates. Goodness. Sorry, I'll correct these dates, but then they're neither here nor there because the learning units are there, the requirements. Then I will host, or Aisha, it's Aisha and I are the main lecturers for assignment 1. So either of us will host a Q&A session. It's not on the 16th of March. It's on the 17th of August. It is Monday at 12 o'clock. Live Q&A session. The link to that is in the work plan. So you can schedule that in your diaries. It is the Q&A session. And then remember, there will also be your group sessions. And then, of course, you must arrange your own group meetings amongst yourselves, besides these sessions that we organize. Okay, so the group briefings will be between 14 and 18 August, so Friday and Tuesday. Then you self-arrange your group meetings, and it's important to arrange specifically the timing of your formal and compulsory team meeting for task 3. You don't have a lot of time to do this assignment, and if that meeting doesn't happen well, then your mark will be affected. So that is like a standout meeting that you must ensure the meeting goes well. And then remember to use the group discussion forums for the evaluations, but for other reasons too. If you want, it's the group discussion forum of your group. You can discuss there. If you want to, you can use it. If you want to, don't have to use it if you don't want to, except for the evaluations. And that is it for assignment 1. I'm going to stop sharing. I will make those small corrections on the presentation before I share it, but that is it. So you can leave if you have to, leave if you want to stay and ask some questions. We have 8 minutes, but remember, it is a bit much on the first year. You will understand more once you have looked at the assignment yourself, once you have studied the documents available. But yes, Miss Lee Shu, you are up.
Hi, Louise. Hello, everybody. I have a question with regards to noting contribution. would WhatsApp chats or the like also count as evidence for group discussions and contributions? Because I know a lot of this, I can't remember if you mentioned it. Maybe I dipped out at that stage. But I know you mentioned recorded sessions and those types of things. But if students are on, their groups on WhatsApp, thank you.
Yes, the group, thank you, Vicky, that is not a bad question. I just want to separate two things. For the debate itself of task 3, your contribution must be part of the team's environment. So either a comment or a verbal contribution. So you can't send before the time a voice note on your phone to the debate and say, I'm not going to attend, here is my contribution. So that can't work. So for task 3, the contribution must actually be part of the debate. The action is happening. But when you look at how the group works together, so how you think about it in your groups, it is up to the group for the most part. What kind of platforms you're going to use? Are you going to use the MyUnisa chat? Are you going to use the discussion forum? Are you going to make a WhatsApp group? That depends entirely on you. And the group, on the whole, when you complete your evaluation form, you can, of course, consider what people contributed on the platforms where you spoke to one another. But it's more, the evaluations are more like your personal experience of who did their part and who didn't. But of course, then WhatsApp conversations can totally count. As being part of what you brought to the group. Then, yes, Ms. Zulu, you are up next. Lindiwe. I can't hear you. Will you unmute yourself and then ask your question? Okay, I'm not sure whether she's hearing me, but then Mabilokazi, I see your hand is up. I can't see your first name. You are welcome to speak.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My question is that when do you think is the correct date for everyone to be in a group for us to engage? Because I don't know how we would deal with someone maybe entering the group around the 19th or the 20th when we are about to submit the assignment.
Yes, that is difficult to give, or impossible to give you an outright answer. To me or to your lecturing team, it doesn't matter. You can decide as a group. What you cannot do is you cannot exclude it. So you cannot decide on the 19th, this person is not welcome in the group. Because the 19th is like a week from now. It is still almost a week to go to submission. So if you have a problem in that regard, I suggest that as it happens, you speak to your facilitating lecturer. They will give you some advice, and if they can direct you in a certain manner, and then you can express yourself on the evaluation form. But it's very dangerous if somebody can be excluded for just, let's say you are on holiday at the moment and you are only planning to start working on this assignment. Maybe you haven't even looked at anything. Then you realize on the 19th, let's say your date, that, oh, I have a group assignment. And then to not have a chance. There is a possibility that if there are like late registrations, sometimes they are. Last semester we had some. I don't think it is happening right now. I think registration's closed, but there may be a late group forming if we do get people that are maybe not active or whose profiles were blocked when the groups were formed on our side. So there is a potential that if somebody joins the group very late, too late, to make a proper contribution to the group, then if there is a late group, maybe your facilitator will say, let's move this late-coming person to the, let's say, latecomers group, where they are more on par with the progress. But because you can't control everything in the group. It is everybody's responsibility to be there from now until the submission date, because that is today. You know what needs to happen, and the submission date is the submission date. But it is not a collegial thing to exclude somebody if their personal circumstances didn't allow them or something. So I can't make a declaration. But talk to your facilitating lecturer if you feel something is so unfair that you cannot, that before even your evaluation form goes in, this person is like going against or not participating or haven't been there and comes the day before or something like that. Talk about an individual situation rather than make a bulk rule. Is my idea of how what is the best there. Miss Zulu, yes, are you now hearing me and can you speak? Not sure. Pumla, I see your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Van Dijk. So what of what Mabilokazi was sharing in terms of someone not contributing to the group.
Yes.
So Dr. Van Dijk is correct that you need to raise it with the leading facilitator, the lecturer in that specific group, and then they'll be able to advise you. But I also want to highlight something. When you are organizing your sessions to meet, if you are not able to actually make that meeting, you need to also alert your team members, not 5 minutes before the meeting, just alert others, because you are all working, you are studying, we all have responsibilities. So I just wanted to highlight that you need to alert maybe 30 minutes or an hour early, that's to say, you know what, I'm running late or I will not be able to make today's meeting, but you need to also submit your contribution. So that's what I wanted to just highlight about that, Louise.
Yeah, thank you, Pumla. That is quite important. Like being absent maybe for one meeting, you can make those kind of internal arrangements, like as a guideline. Let's say the group plans on meeting 3 times. That debate day is compulsory, and then of the other 2 meetings, each member, you can make this internal arrangement, should at least be at one meeting. If you cannot make both, you must at least make one of the 2 group meetings. Otherwise, you can be evaluated for your participation. Like it is known, you can make an internal arrangement that is not a rule but a guideline for what the group expects of one another. And remember also, if you are by accident like the latecomer or the one that has a problem, you can individually also contact your facilitating lecturer and talk about the possibilities. There is a possibility to bend the rules. For instance, something that happened last semester is that there's one person that could really not make the times of meetings of the others because their work didn't allow them. And then the group created a response to a task, and that person didn't take part in that response at all. And then we made a special arrangement so that that person can write, let's say, a paragraph of their own, and then it is added as a kind of addendum to your task response that the collective made. That will say something about your group dynamics, and maybe your marker will feel some way about it. You have to talk to the marker or to the facilitator before you do something like that. But there is the potential to make space for people. So engage with your lecturer specifically about those things. Pumla, do you want to add something more?
Can you
Oh,
hear me,
yes,
Louise?
Zulu. I can, yes. You may ask your question.
Yes. I'm sorry, I joined in late because I'm having network issues, and I believe I'm in group 7.
Are you in group
And
7?
since I'm in group 7, is everything written there? Who's going to be our lead lecturer? How do I interact with the students? Are the student numbers there? How do you contact each other?
All right. You are in like a group, you can see that group by, like if you go to the discussion forum, you will be able to see who's in your group. If you are in group 7, let me quickly see if I can see something about your group here on my side, just as an example. Ooh. 1 second, please. Group 7. I don't see your name in group 7, so just make sure in which group you are. But if you feel lost, if you cannot access your group members, remember you are together on a group chat. So that there's like a column, I don't have it on the screen, I currently see, but there's like that chat forum or message forum. You are together on a message forum and on a discussion forum. So you can go and ask on that discussion forum, hi, who is my group members, and people can send names, or you can ask your facilitating lecturer, because they have access to all the groups that they are mentoring or facilitating for. So that facilitating lecturer can give you oh yeah, I see your name, you have a double surname, so you are indeed in group 7. Sorry. Yeah, your facilitating lecturer can give you the name list of all the other group members. What I will do for the groups that I am the facilitator for is I will place the list of member names in a discussion forum post for the groups to see, but it depends on how your individual facilitating lecturer wants to do this. Maybe that person.
I would like to know who's my facilitator lecturer.
Let me tell you, just hold on 1 second. You, let me, 1 second. Sorry, I would just have to access this list in another way. Remember also that your facilitating lecturer will be in contact themselves to arrange with you your sessions. So the fact that you don't know right now is not the biggest problem, but all right, you might want to contact them. You have your sound on 2 places, I think, because there's an echo on your side. If you have it on the phone or something as well.
I'm not.
Oh, it's just maybe then the computer sound is strange. Okay, I will let you know. I have your name now. Who's your facilitator? Because I don't want to like search for something while the whole group is being held captive. I'll email you right after the session, just for your knowledge. Pumla, yes, please. If you have something more, if you have to extend the previous comment, you are welcome to.
Oh, yes, thank you, Louise. So what I also wanted to emphasize is the completion of the peer evaluation form. So if the students would please complete that form, because that's the only way we can see how the other members in the team participated. So you need to be honest when you complete that form. Because you can also see each other's peer evaluation forms. If somebody did not come for meetings, did not contribute, you need to be able to write that on the actual peer evaluation form, because that's how we're going to actually allocate marks, because we cannot allocate marks for somebody who did not, they cannot be allocated the same mark as you did if they did not contribute. So that's all I wanted to say, Louise, on my side.
Okay. Yes, good. Thank you for adding that. I'm still looking. Yes. Is there, Lindy, do you have another question?
Yes. Do each one of us supposed to print this evaluation form?
No. You completed on the screen. You save it. Let's say under your name and your group number and if the name evaluation form or something, and you post it on your group discussion forum. So there will be there's instructions for how to post it under assignment 1 additional resources. So each of you replies to a post or posts from the start, but with your evaluation form attached. So that the evaluation forms are going to the group discussion forums, but the deadline for them is also the deadline for the assignment submission. So they must be there before 8 o'clock on the night of the 24th, but they not need to be printed and they're not part of the assignment document itself. I said it earlier in the session, but if you popped in late, that's maybe something you missed. I see now, Ms. Zulu, that Aisha Osman is your group facilitator. So let me quickly do that. Aisha Osman is the facilitator for group 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Then I am group, let's say, I think I'm 1, 2, and 3. I am group 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then let's see, group 10, 11, I think that is Pumla. Let's just see.
Yes, you're correct. 10 to 13.
10 to 14.
10 to 14. Yeah, 10 to 14.
You are 10 to 14, and then 15 to 18 is Vicky Lee. So if you know your own group number, those are your facilitating lecturers. But remember, they will be talking to you within the next few days to schedule a session. And then in that session, they will formally introduce themselves and so on. So, you know, even if you don't know right now what your group is, you can go and check that yourself, and then your facilitating lecturer, if you missed the mention here, then know that they will be in contact. All right. I think that is, okay, somebody's asking for group 17. Did you hear now, Miss Moodley, who is yours? It is Miss Lee Shu, that is group 17, I believe. Vicky, can you just confirm that? Or don't?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's correct.
Yeah, groups 15, 16, 17, and 18.
17, yeah. Yes, perfect. All right. So, but don't stress. Your person will be in contact with you. And remember, our next session is Monday at 12. For you who attended yesterday's session, I mistakenly said that our sessions will usually be on a Tuesday at 12. It's not right. It's Mondays at 12. So the Q&A session, or the further session that will be more conversational but about this assignment, will be on Monday. Because our time is so limited, we need to start having these conversations. So if today's session baffled you a little bit, I suggest that you go through your assignment and through the instructions, familiarize yourself with the documents, and do your first footwork before Monday's session, so that when Monday comes, you have some questions to ask, and you are not only then attending to receive information, you are there to ask your questions. That will mainly be what Monday is for. And then, of course, your lecturer group briefings will also have space for interaction, a lot more than what we have today. All right, I think I'm going to close this session. If you are urgently in need of information or clarification, you are welcome to email me. You can also email your facilitating lecturer if you know who they are, and then if not urgent, you can come on Monday, and that is all. Good luck for the assignment. We hope it goes well. It is not a ton of work, but because you have to collaborate, it makes it more work than what the actual document looks like, because the collaboration and the teamwork is part of what needs to happen. So the written component ends up be relatively short. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you colleagues for attending. We will talk in the very near future. I'll share the recording and the slides after I made those corrections today. All right, go well, goodbye.
Thank you everyone, bye.